I get organized here, it's funny thinking.
That's fine, no problem.
You're gonna sit down, watch it through there?
Yep, I'm just getting my paper and pen,
Oh,
in case I want to take any notes.
yeah. I had some writings here. Do you want to make copies of that, you mean?
When we get done, we'll take a look at them. Why don't we do the slides first,
All right.
okay?
All right. Or is it me that's dizzy? Is that clear?
Yes, that's clear.
Well, when I was a young kid, 10 years of age, my mother, of course, was a dressmaker. She sewed for the man, or the wife of the man that had the big lumber yard and all that sort of a thing. And I had the privilege of going on the Great Lakes as a boy. I took take coal up to Duluth, and then get lumber, bring it back to Tonawanda. It would be about a 5-week trip those days. And I did that 2 times in my lifetime. Then when I got out of the Marine Corps, I came back to Tonawanda and I became I shipped out on the Jacob T. Cox. I asked you to know to find me. Can you do it quick? Yeah.
Oh.
In the back, on the left-hand side there.
With a cap on?
No, without the cap. Just my So I had 6 years on the Great Lakes, from that wheelsman to the big freeze in 1926. I was to go to navigation school that winter, and after the big freeze in 1926, did you ever hear of that? Big freeze? Well, it was all over the world. Time we got on, there's 90 boats all frozen the ice up around Duluth. Good. So I quit saying that. That's one of the boats in Bowling Line that I was a wheelsman on. That's another one that I was a wheelsman on. Now, I said this other part, you know, that I romped around a little bit. Now, they read pretty well, but does that show clear to you?
Yes, it does.
You read that, you get things. The thing there, that was from the Erie Canal to get into the Niagara River. And that's the little locks, the only locks they had. And you'll notice those big wings there. They had to be opened and closed by people themselves. They had to lean against them, push it. Oh, that's how they got from one river to the canal. There's enough, you said enough words there, you see that?
Sure.
Yeah. And of course, then the canal boats are loaded from right up in the lakers. Big ships that come in with the lumber, load them right there, down the canal, you'd end up anywhere. All loaded with lumber. Okay? That's Tonawanda. It's all lumber on the far point there, that you see there. And you see the canal there, going up the canal. Well, there was a big storm in 1907. Yeah, 1907 there. After that was over, that whole side, would you show all that lumber there before? It was all along there, cleaned out all the lumber, all the way from the outside the city, right on down to past the 2 cities, and went over to Niagara Falls. All that lumber, way back in 1907. Does that mean anything yet?
Yes.
There's canalers, and it's in the town of or it's in the city of Tonawanda on the right-hand side. The other side is North Tonawanda. They're either getting loaded, going to be loaded, or whatever, but this stuff. There's the horses things. The life of the horses. There was no drainage in their cabin, where they slept. I drove them. I had to take get the fresh ones out and take the tired ones and put them down in the quarters. No drainage in the cabs or the thing itself. And it was a terrible thing to have to do it and breathe and just honest to God. But that was their life. Now they withstood it. They did it.
The horse cabin was always in the front of the boat?
That's right, yeah.
Could you smell it in the back? Because people suggested that
Well,
maybe
it was the
it
wind or
should-
something was blowing in mine, but I never paid any attention to that. It was just enough to try to get down in there and get out of there. Now, the people of today, they talk about swimming in the water, how clear, clean it's got to be. You know what the Erie Canal was. The water just as brown as it could possibly be. Lord knows what was in it. The kids went swimming in that in those days. They didn't die. They got something in their head.
That's a real good photo of the guy driving, what horses is that?
Yeah, I know, yes. So the kids in those days swam. Now, kids don't ever do that today, I don't think, go in dirty water like that to swim. Now they found a place where there was grass. So the tired ones and the fresh ones, they had to eat the grass first before they finished it.
Are these your photographs?
Pardon?
Are these your photographs? Is this
No,
your-
not mine. Through the years, you'll see the lady that my mother was a friend of, and that's how I got into it. It may have been from them. That's Mrs. Dunn, my mother's friend. Her husband had a canal. And it was on her canal, her mules that I drove. My mother, we took a trip on it. And that's her son. There's a new type of equipment for steering, which they didn't have when I was later on. We did get that type. His name was Bill. There's buffalo compass sticking out in the winter time. Pull in Buffalo Harbor, that's strong. They had that many boats in that balloon. Of the 21 cities. So you have other places way down in New York City where there was thousands of canal boats in those days. Figured out. Am I telling something worthwhile?
Sure, keep right on going. You're doing fine.
Well, I was a little bit upset when they couldn't find this picture. No, that's the way they lived. You see the nice stove? Have you seen pictures like this before in the past?
Some.
I bring a lot of things that you saw before you were firing.
No, I haven't. A lot of these I've never seen in photographs.
Well, that's...
This is the right guy to talk to because he knows what we have in our collections and doesn't,
Yeah.
so don't worry about it.
Oh, good. Then, of course, the ladies involved in it, that's what you have to do with it. And they're on their way, they sit and talk and knit and whatever else, and there's not much room. And take a look at the type of women. They're not little ones, the big husky women. In fact, they had to be. But they were nice people. Well, now there's another part of the place where they lived in. It's the dining room and the kitchen and there's everything else that you want to do down into one place. And of course they're clean. They can wash their things and there's a lady doing it. There. Yep. Everybody else does. Now, there's one thing about them. The rage, the style, everything. There are no young people. So that's the way the buyers lived. They were happy. think he's trying to get fresh water. If I remember right, I'm not quite sure. Down our way here. Because there wasn't no fresh water up along the canals either way from there. And there's a lady with her daughter, and they had the dog on. They enjoyed themselves, I guess. Oh, there's something I'm missing on that. She got a hat on. I don't know how the hell I know.
Here, how about if I just...
Yeah. Yeah, see her hat. See that? See her hat here? Yeah. No, we've seen those since that time, but way
Looks
back at
like-
that time, that's what the lady wore.
That's what the witch wore on The Wizard of Oz.
Is that what it is?
That kind of hat. It reminds me.
Oh, all right. Okay. You could stand a bigger screen, I think, as
Yeah.
well, and whatever. Now, there's a little girl having her freedom. There isn't much room she has to be there. Folks have to watch her, but they live. Of course, each one says something too, and I back this far I can't, but you do
But we
read
can
it.
read it.
Yeah.
No problem.
Okay.
Did you, did they have a commode in the cabin or a little corner for that? Or do you remember how
Commode
did they
for-
just use a chamber pot or?
No, they usually failed,
Uh-huh.
stuff like that, that's all. There was no such thing.
So they didn't have any
There was-
privacy or?
No, no. And there was no such thing as taking a shower or anything like that. You usually smelled some of those guys that drive those mules. Honest to goodness.
Sure. You believe it.
So they were parked somewhere. They must have been unloading or getting a load. I'm not sure. But she's serving the dinner, and she's blowing her whistle, bringing the people involved in it to get down there a little. That's the dining room, the kitchen, the bathroom. That's all down that little side place like that. That's Lockport. You know about Lockport? All right, I have to say this, I think. The canal lowered from 565 feet at Auburn down below. There's 5 locks in there. There's 2, the people going east and the people going west. 5 different locks to come down to get through to the lower part of the Erie Canal going into the west of Buffalo. Is that all right?
Sure.
There it is. Now, what do you suppose? You've got a picture of that there downstairs. All right, why?
Why do we have a picture?
No, why is it
Pulling on his tail?
hanging onto his tail? Why?
Just keep him from going too fast down the...
Part of it to go, right? All right, they had to do that. It was left loose. You come down, and once you get that level like that, their knees, they went right down on their knees. The animals did. And screw on. So they had to hold their tails, and when they got down to that point, they would hold on. That's what it was for. Ooh, there's one that's going into his bedroom with poor thing. He's done his job, so he's going down.
Must have been tougher putting him down in the cabin, because that's
It
even
was
steeper.
difficult there. It wasn't too bad, but it wasn't easy. And of course, they were smart for that.
They cooperated probably when they knew they were going into rest.
That's right, yeah. I'm probably glad too. And there was no drainage, as I told you there. It was grave. It's not hay, what the hell's the other thing?
Straw.
Straw. Straw they had all around fresh and that, and then when it gets all wet and that, they throw it out, put more fresh. Straw.
Where did they throw it? Just across
Just
it?
throw it over, throw it in the canal. Turn in. That's Tonawanda. Well, it's Tonawanda on both sides, even though Tonawanda, North Tonawanda's canal went between the two of them. Just on the right-hand side is the locks, which you saw that one picture of there. But they wouldn't use too many mules around there. They used the tugs down in that area.
Did you live in Tonawanda?
Yeah, I came from Tonawanda. There's one of the newer canals. They're getting to be a little bit stronger and bigger than the original one. You notice. You want to read each one?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
You put it up here instead of down there. Or you putting it up here instead of down there?
Doing both.
All right. All right. There's the one. Guess what?
That's a tug, right? That's a tug line?
No. There's one of the canalers that has their own power. And they have a tow behind taking to her. Okay? And the smart kids, as they went through these different places, we could hike on the line. And they couldn't do a darn thing. Honest to goodness. They couldn't stop. You know, the kids enjoyed themselves until they got through their drillies and then they'd get off. Did you see that before?
I've seen a picture of that before, yes.
You're a smart girl.
Oh, thank
You
you.
know everything. Did you know why they were in there or where they were in?
I figured they were hanging onto the line
Yeah.
for a ride.
That's kind of the Buffalo area. It shows big lumber yards and a lot of canal boats there, and it was a part of their business. Now, the Barge Canal came along after the Erie Canal. They were built in Tonawanda. The first one has the power to pull, and then it always had one that never towed. So that ended the mules. From there on, it was like, Barge Canal became the Barge Canal after the Erie Canal lost its name. And there are the new barges we were building up later on. You saw one. That's when they said they're going to make it deeper and they're going to be the Barge Canal. Those are the units. They went on those things and they never got up. The workers on there, they fed them and bed them right on there. And they just did their job and come through and never came ashore. That's right. That's where they deepened the canal. Well, that's another lake boat in Tonawanda, like I was on, loaded with lumber coming in to port possibly.
What cargoes did you carry on the boats you were on the
Well,
canal?
going to Duluth, you'd go up with coal, something, and you get lumber from there and bring it back to Tonawanda, white pine.
But did you work on the canal then, too?
No.
No, just on the lake?
I was on the Great Lakes from 1920 to 26. And as a boy, 10 and 11 years of age, I went up as a kid with my mother. My mother had sewed for the people that owned the boat, so I had that privilege in my day. 2 trips like that.
What about on the canal though? You said you drove mules or horses.
Yeah.
When did you do that?
Well, it was around the same time I was doing these other things.
Yeah. So what, on the boats that you went on the canal, what kind of cargo did those canal boats carry?
Well, it could be grain, it could be coal, it could be different things, mostly grain and lumber too.
And where did you go? From
Well,
where
I
to
went
where?
from Tonawanda to Lockport. Just went in that period of time. I didn't do that to be for a living. The privilege of the boy of doing that.
Right.
So I can't maybe take some of the honor that's supposed to be to drive the mules in the Erie Canal because I can say that. But to get from Tonawanda to Lockport, I never drove any mules after that, but I did do. And I lived where they were, and it was all qualified to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah, no, when the time came when the Erie Canal stopped going to Buffalo, they sealed it all the way down from Buffalo to Tonawanda, filled it all in, and they're in business. So they had to switch it there from coming into Tonawanda, North Tonawanda, North Tonawanda. They cut that all out, they go right into the Niagara River, and then up the river. And then this is another small river like going back into the country. But that's what happened. That was the end of the Erie Canal in the Tonawanda. The rest of it was closed up near the Buffalo. Well, there's a nosy little fellow.
Say so.
Those are the canal stuff there. Those are my other cousin. It was kind of cute, I thought. This is the prison in Tonawanda, or in
Auburn?
Auburn, yeah, in Auburn. You knew about the big riot there at one time years ago?
I remember, well, there was one, a long time ago, I remember reading something.
Well, that's what it was. There's the outside of the prison. Then, and then the riot came on. Some people got hurt and that. See the man there with the thing in his hat? Sign. It turns out to be my daughter's husband, father,
Oh, gosh.
in the prison down there.
Were you in Auburn yet when this happened?
No, we didn't come until the end of 46.
Oh, I see.
There's another view of it. And that period of time, how they could get in and that, well, that, out on the front, trying to know what to do, how to handle things, the public. In fact, it got so bad that the public came out with their guns ready to, because they were prisoners were going to break through and free themselves, they thought. So the people were out there waiting for them. And this is some of those that were taken out, got hurt. Some of the guards, they would bring them out. There are the kind of prisoners they had, some young fellas, more or less. I guess they're young fellas today, more or less, too, aren't they?
Yes, I think you're right.
Well, after it was all set, that's where they had the quarters and decided what to do. That's after the head of the prison was killed. I can't find his name and I can't think of it. He was ahead of it and he got killed in that thing. Well, that's the bicentennial. There's some ones that won some prizes in the bicentennial, which I had in charge of. The fellow from Congressman from way back when, where the hell is that place? South of us. Yeah. Down south of us. That's where he came from.
Millard Fillmore?
Yeah. That's it. So they had that in the parade. They just won a prize.
Huh. Looks like a fun event.
He's from Moravia.
Yeah, that's right, Moravia. That's in there. When that the mayor of Tonawanda and myself next to him, I was post commander of the post in Tonawanda. A Civil War veteran was with us. And there was only 2 left, or besides 3 left in the Tonawandas when I was post commander of Tonawanda's post. The ones behind him were the Jep. That was the 1900, what the hell was the battle?
Spanish-American War?
Spanish-American War, that's right. They were in the back of it. This is the Andersonville prison. You know about it and everything like that, I presume.
Right.
And that's the way it looked. That was the man in charge, Captain Wig, W-I-R-Z, and he was a brute, they said. That's number 1. The cemetery, the mode of carrying and burying the dead graves of the raiders who overhang in the distance. And number 2 is shot at the deadline trying to get out. Number 3, the dying prisoner's last thoughts, those little ones at home. Number 4, the stages of sicknesses and disease, scurry, diarrhea, gangrene, dropsy, fever, and everything like that, and nothing to cure it. It's number 5, the mode of cooking rations. Cooked their own meals apparently, even the food that was given to them.
Right.
Number 6. That's number 6. Yeah. Execution of the raiders, July 11th. They tried to break out and were caught, so they hung them. Number 7, the storm breaking away from the stockade, the prisoners picking up the logs and stuff, fuel. Eight, digging for a tunnel. 9, the escape. 10, the pursuit and recapture, the dogs. 12, the mode of punishment. That's not right. What number is that?
I can't see the number.
Oh,
I think that might
Those
be
are the
11.
dogs.
Let's see. Oh, number 11. 11. Captain Weir and his pets. I'll get number 12. 12. The modes of punishment. The stocks, which you can know. The buck and gut. The buck and gay. That was over his. And 3, the ball and the check. You can see that, right? 4th was hanging by the thumb, the one way over in the corner there. That's the way they punished him. 13, a distribution of rations. Who will have this? Swap with each other. famous Providence Spring, waiting for their turn to get home. 15, the rumor of exchange, meaning that the Southerners would be freed if we would free them and send them down. Change that. It's 13. 13.
16.
The 16. Dead at the gate. The daily occurrences. 17 would be the Good Samaritan Reverend Father Willen praying for the dead and dying. That's 18, justice holding the scale, the bonds win. And there's the author. That he's the one that lived through it. All right?
Yep.
There is a picture of Niagara Falls, American and Canadian.
Right.
There hasn't been many pictures made like that. Wherever I've shown that, that's quite a thing. Canadian side to the American side and see it. There are the two men that first seen Niagara Falls. Or anybody other than the Indians, they knew it was. First white people to saw Niagara Falls and the Canadian Falls. Now there's some of my relations. They're wealthy.
They look like it.
Yeah, they got all kinds of money.
They're quite stylish.
Yeah. Well, the thing on that one there is to get two dogs, put themselves, stay, they were asked to stay and do that. They'll take a picture of it. It's quite a thing. My relation. Well, I hope I've done some good. That's some of it.
No, that's fine. Do we have time? Do you have time for me to ask you a few more questions about what you remember about the canal?
Well, if I can remember. 86 years old.
I know, but I think
forgot.
you're doing real well. Don, were any of those slides things that you would want duplicates of, or do you
Well,
think?
some of those of the mules, and I hadn't seen some of those before, the canal photographs.
Oh, you hadn't seen them?
Yeah, there were quite a few, so.
Yeah, well, although that had canal, mostly had to do it that way. No other way.
Especially the ones of the mules. Some of those.
Yeah, well, some were horsemen, but most of them were mules.
But the one, the one you mentioned, they were eating the grass along the towpath.
Yeah.
I've never
Yeah.
seen one like that. That was
Well, that was
with the three boys in the water.
blessing, you might say, for the poor thing. He always got straw and oats and stuff like that that they ate. Oh, some grass out there. But they weren't. That was not all the words. But that to be. We took a picture of it.
It's good somebody did take a picture of it.
You never saw that one?
No, never did.
Gee whiz.
So see, you showed us some things we didn't see before. That was
I
good.
hope I've done you some good today.
Yeah.
Here.
Would we be able to borrow those slides to make duplicates of them?
Yeah.
And then I can send them back to you? Would only take a few days. Or do you have duplicates of them?
No, all I have here is that I thought maybe we'd have something set up and now showing.
Yeah, we can't do it that quickly. That's why I looked into it, and it takes a few days. We don't have our own facilities here at the museum. Were you gonna be showing this to some group soon?
Yeah, I have, yeah, I show these things. Okay, dear. I don't see nothing I can do right now, but I'll see you sometime, but you to copy of these, we'll rate it
Okay.
sometime.
Okay,
Even if they come up to Tonawanda or up to Auburn.
to Auburn, right.
Yeah.
Well, we could give you the numbers of the ones we would like, so that you would know that. And then when they're free for us to borrow them, we would quickly borrow them
Yeah,
and get them made. Or you can get the duplicate copies made for us,
yeah.
if you'd feel more comfortable with that.
I hate to take them apart, there's quite a show. They can put this thing back where they belong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wanted to help you, know. Let's see. If we run the set through and have a set made for it, that would cost something. Do you have money you could spend to do that?
Well, I don't know.
We see, we really wouldn't need the entire set, we just need the
Certain
ones
one.
about the
Some of
canal,
We
some
have
of
some of
those.
those.
I see.
Just a few of them, it would
Yeah.
only be a very few.
You know the numbers you...
Well, we can take them, Don can look without taking your show apart
Oh,
and write it down the numbers.
yeah, all right.
Okay?
You get a
That's all right. Then, then I can get them made up there.
Right, and then you let us know how much it costs and I'll send you a check for it, okay? Is that fair enough?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Anything to help you.
No, that's good. Okay, so that I have your information, Mr. Drucker. You were born in Tonawanda?
Tonawanda,
Okay, and what year were you born in?
1900. I never had any problems that year.
You're older than my grandmother.
Older than your grandmother? Older than your grandmother?
She's 1901.
And you were about, what, 10 years old when you said you drove mules for a little while?
Yeah, I would say I
Okay.
was around 10 years of age, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Been 9 or...
And they were, you drove them with a boat that was your neighbor's boat?
It was
Of
my
friends?
mother's friend.
Mm-hmm,
Friend.
mm-hmm. And they let you help out?
And we took a trip out from Tonawanda to Lockport.
Mhm.
We did. And in that period of going down there, while I drove them mules and got them out and put them back.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me that privilege. They knew damn well I was smelling there. I'm glad let somebody go get those animals out. You can't believe it there.
Now, did they,
A canal boat might be, what, 20, 30 years old.
mm-hmm.
The only thing it did was to take the straw and throw it out with fresh, throw it out. Imagine the condition of the wood thing with it.
Oh, sure.
On a hot day around it. Like hell to get down there. So.
How long did it take you to go from Tonawanda to Lockport?
Oh, I would say it took about almost the better part of a day.
Mm-hmm.
Stopped once like that.
And on that particular boat, they drove mules or horses? Which did they use?
Red mules.
You had mules? Okay.
There were more mules than horses really, and horses came in where I guess you couldn't get mules or something.
Uh-huh.
So I wrote some things down. You know, we
Oh,
don't
good.
see there's anything in there
Okay.
that means anything.
Now, when you say 2 bow lamps were the only illumination at night, is that for the boat or is that for the locks? You're talking about Lockport here.
Let me see, I got it lower. Bow lamps. Well, it would be the canal boat.
Mm-hmm.
Because it'd be both traveling at night.
Right.
Yeah. It
Okay.
wasn't much lighter.
What was your neighbor's name?
Dunn. D-U-N-N. Billy Dunn. The mother. one, my mother's friend, Bill.
The thing about the tail was interesting of the mule.
Mule,
Why that,
yeah.
I hadn't ever quite thought of it that way.
Well, that was the reason.
Did you eat aboard the boat when you traveled?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh,
How were the meals?
the meal, oh, yeah, well, usually the women are good cooks.
Uh-huh.
It was good, it's just, well, it wasn't highly, nice dining room or something like that. It was just a raw place.
Uh-huh. Now, did you just take one trip or did you take more than
I
one?
just took the one.
You
trip.
just took the one,
But we used to
okay.
hang around the canal, and I've driven other mules, and they come there to change, and that hasn't done that. So us kids just hang around that way.
Mm-hmm. And that's something that they would let kids do.
Oh, sure.
They were thrilled,
Yeah,
huh?
Smelly bricks and bring the mules out. Sure.
Uh-huh. And of course, the kids thought it was a big novelty, right? Something fun to
I
do.
thought, even I, oh Lord, was out there. But it was nosy kids.
Mm-hmm. And what did people think of the canalers? Did people talk about what kind of people they were or anything like that?
Those at home, yeah, they were good people and all that. The only thing that got involved with the people that were taking care of the animals and that. Didn't I send you a story?
I think so, but
The story of this guy that got paid off, went down in the boarding area. Something.
yeah,
That was something, yeah.
uh-huh,
Well, I think I sent you this story. I
That-
thought it was kind of funny,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
especially after you got drunk.
yeah.
Yeah, who should I know you?
Do you remember, like, who ran the boats when there were wars? Like, when the men went off to war, the men canal boat captains, did they have women driving the boats at all, or do you remember
I
anything
don't
like
remember
that?
anything like that there, no. And I would question whether very many of the men. I don't think. I never did see that. Because that was a necessary thing to get them food and stuff back and forth. They
Uh-huh.
wouldn't have been picked up. So I think it was a rare thing if anybody was pulled from the canal and doing the service.
Mm-hmm. Now, what did you do for a living all these years?
No, I didn't go to welfare. I was lucky, I guess. All my life, you mean?
Uh-huh.
Well, I became a tally boy. The lumber yard. Well, first I went into a mill, took away the cleaner, the boy.
Mm-hmm.
I was 13 or 14 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
And then I became tally boy, then I became a lumber inspector. Then I went in the war, World War I, was Marine. I was overseas in 2 years, 3 months in France.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back. Then I was going to go back to being a lumber inspector. I was going to go back and do that again, to get back to the company. And oh gosh, Jim, the way the lumber business is all shot to hell, and you want to make a life out of this. So I got it, it worked.
Mm-hmm. What lumber yard did you work for?
Haynes Lumber Company. I had a picture of that. Oh, I knew you would.
No, it
It's on
just,
the list.
yeah.
Well, the picture of the boat,
Huh?
the one at the beginning here of the boat says Haynes.
No, that
Oh,
wasn't
it's not.
Haynes, no. Haynes Lumber Company. It's a different thing. And let's see. I got back to work and don't even the owners. And my time in the service, I get $5 a week from there. And by gosh, I would give my mother, pay her $5 a week. And I'd get letters from once in a while in France. So they treated us very nice.
Oh, that was good.
That's right. Then I came home and they went to told me that, well, rubber business wasn't a popular young man, maybe I want to do something else. So I was to church one Sunday and one of the captains of the lake boat, saw me. He said, Jim, he said, I've seen you many times in church on Sunday. And I said, come in. Well, so we got a lot of room here and it's a good business and be a captain someday. So I went aboard Jacob T. Cobb, Captain Hepburn. That's where I started there. And I stayed 6 years. Went through the different things, bad weather. Went through the Fitzgerald era several times in bad weather. Where you hang onto the wheel and you go back and forth, everything will switching back and forth, and you hang on. One time the same thing that they went through and turned over. We did. We had iron ore on it.
Oh, wow.
But the deck was covered with ice. I thought I had pictures of that. Solid ice. The deck was frozen. It took us 60 hours to come down from Duluth to the Sioux St. Marie docks, the locks. Couldn't go aft, just stayed there. And finally got docked in where 90 boats were frozen in the ice. So we stayed there for 17 days and finally got broke on through. I got stories on that. I wrote details about it. We got home Christmas, morning the day before Christmas. Got home, my wife and everybody else said, no more sailing for you. And I came ashore and stayed ashore and got involved with tire businesses.
Oh,
Tire business. Couple of that. From there into, well, I came into Auburn, I was in the tire business. And I went in business with James Draucker General Tires in Auburn. We were together for 16 years. I think that's kind of a cute thing.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Little road people like this.
That's your picture, I don't think you were kidding.
No.
That nose road.
No. He's a big man, not that big. We're up to where now?
When you were working in the tire business in Auburn.
Fort Auburn, yeah. Well, we stayed in that and then finally, well, that got kind of a tough business in France. He had the oil business, and so we sold out. And I went with Norman Chadwick, Harry's Tire Supply, and I went to work with him and went on the road for him and managed to recapping experience and everything. In fact, yeah, at home in the Tonawanda, I went in the tire business too. A little guy like me, you took a shellacking when the first wreck of the 19 something, the first time the country was turned down and shut up. I went through that. Took a shellacking. No, then after some time, I went through and ended up in another place. I went to business, started over again. I burned out, lost out there. I walked from one to one, ended up by working for people. Have I known you want to know those things?
Oh, no, I just thought it would be nice to have an idea of where,
it brings back
where you had been.
And while the lumber inspector, I was going to Canada and shipped out lumber. North Bay, North Bay, then west of that is Cache Bay, yeah. I would be no lumber inspector. I was sent there to ship out lumber to Nova Scotia, 10 carloads of white pine to Nova Scotia to go to South America. It was in the winter time. I come from North Tonawanda, all my boots was all fixed up, you know. You're going to go out there with those things on? Yeah. I went out, the first day I went out that morning, my boots and stuff like. I wasn't out there 10 minutes and it drove right through. It drove zero weather.
Yeah.
They said, we see, so they sent me over to the company store. They fixed up. So they shipped 10 large and 10 carloads of lumber to South America. So it was an experience. And we had the lady that was in charge, her husband, her father rather, no, her husband was running the mill and all that, the business. And I ate over there. We had, they were going to meet me there. What the hell, deer meat? Yeah, deer meat.
Venison?
Yeah, deer, yeah. Well, food like that all the time while I was there, which I never had before. Well, they had extra.